Welcome back, students. In this session, let us continue our discussion on digital marketing framework. We have covered the first part, that is internal analysis, and we are now in the second step of the assessment phase, which is the external analysis. Within the external analysis, we have covered microenvironment. Now, let us look at the macro environmental elements which affect the working of firms in the digital platform. As I told you, this is an acronym which is PEST, where P stands for political factors, E includes economic aspects, S includes socio-economic and cultural factors, and T represents technological aspects. Now, we understand, students, that the political events in any country or a region, geographical region, impact the business environment. There have been multiple instances wherein business friendly leaders and regimes have led to the creation of entrepreneurial environment. Even in India, we find that a lot of initiatives by the political parties have been taken to provide a growth and momentum to entrepreneurship. When you talk about economic aspects, we are looking at certain indicators like the economic growth rate or maybe per capita income, interest rate, inflation, and as they affect the working of any organization in the conventional marketing system, similarly all these economic indicators are going to have an impact on the firm's growth, not only in a particular region but also across the country, and therefore they comprise of the broader macro environmental force. We also find that with increasing globalization and liberalization, the impact of foreign direct investments, what we know as FDIs or venture capitalist, seed accelerators, there have been a surge of interest and support for various technological companies where the initial funding or the initial capital requirement is very much important for your growth and for even before growth for your incubation. A large part of the e-commerce that we see today or the growth in the e-commerce sector that we see today, it can be attributed to attributed to these developments only that ensure that businesses are provided with a very sound financial ecosystem. The third factor or the third element comprising your macro environmental aspect is socio-cultural. Now, when you talk about socio-cultural factor or social cultural elements, you are primarily dealing with the social and the cultural values, ethics, morality, views, norms on which a society is based and a society functions. Again, it becomes very crucial for marketeers to not only have a strong understanding of the cultural and the social system that govern the functioning of businesses in a society, but they also need to understand all these elements to know and to understand the way in which they affect the buying behavior. They also need to understand which are the elements of the socio-cultural aspects which the consumers are likely to adopt because they are very much integrated with your social framework or your cultural framework, and which are the ones that you need to align or need to change or need to make more efforts to for the consumers to make an effective transition towards them. So, you have to build your brands and you have to provide a lot of conditioning to the consumers to slowly and gradually align themselves to the broader socio-cultural setup. The last important element that you find in your PEST factor is technological factor. We find that with the growth in technology, advancement in technology, your technology, it has become important for firms to have an understanding of the tools, mechanism, the automation aspects which drive and impact marketing, and also to keep abreast with the changing technologies, to keep abreast with the changing trends so that you can adopt them in time. In order to succeed, we find that businesses have to often integrate the use of these tools and techniques to their broader marketing elements. Like we see that in the recent years, digital marketeers have aligned their efforts and they have built their digital frameworks along the use of search algorithms, advertising technologies, cloud platforms, various kind of mobile applications and features which are available, and have aligned them well with the other marketing elements in order to become successful in the digital landscape. After understanding the internal aspect and the external aspect, the third element which is a part of your external analysis only is the market situation and competition analysis. What are we looking at in the market situation? We are looking at the industry. We are looking at the broader market segments. So, a digital marketeer has to explore and has to see whether it is a one market or one segment which has to be taken as a unified whole, and that is what comprises your market, or there is a presence of different other segments within the broad market, and also have to understand the potential of these segments so that you can reach out to these different segments with your digital product. You also have to understand that when you are scanning your external environment, you are doing a lot of D-SWOT, that is, you are doing a lot of digital SWOT analysis, which is going to help you in understanding what can be the possible opportunities that lay ahead in future for a digital marketer, and what are the some of the threats for which you have to today start and prepare yourself so that you can overcome those weaknesses, you can overcome those threats in time to come. Another important aspect of your entire scanning of your environment is the competition analysis. You also have to see how competitive the market is on the whole. What is the competitive intensity? Is the competition very strong or the competition is weak, and therefore you see a lot of gap and you can very effectively enter into that particular business, and you can make use of your digital strategies to make revenues. When you talk about competition, you may have to look at it from the perspective of analyzing the category. In which category, that is, in what all product categories the competition is present. You have to deal with the competition at the category level for the time being, or it has gone down to the brand level. Where does your brand, your product exist or is situated vis-a-vis the other brands which are competing in the digital space in those categories? So, a lot of competitive analysis also has to go at a deeper level, and one has to understand where it is only the category competition that we are talking about, or is it a lot of brand competition also within the category that is present. When you do the industry analysis, you find that lot of inputs students you have to take from marketing research. A lot of marketing research activities come very handy and very useful for a firm and help them to analyze key industry trends related to marketeers' product and services which are present on the digital platform. When it comes to competition analysis, again you find that when you research about your direct and indirect competitors, and you compare the market portfolio of your competition, you are able to gauge the competition better. All this research exercise, it also helps you to assess the ways in which you can leverage your digital marketing and how you can make an effort to very strongly position yourself and accomplish your brand objectives in the online digital space. So, if we look at it again, we find that within the first phase of your ASCOR framework, we have covered the two broad aspects related to internal analysis and external analysis. Now, we move on to the third aspect of the assessment phase, which is digital presence analysis. Now, what is the analysis is all about? Here you are trying to assess how strongly you are present in the digital state, right. So, you are trying to, the firms are trying to identify their present digital state through a combined analysis of external and internal factors. Now, what you are going to look at? You are going to look at various drivers which are going to help you in establishing and identifying your digital state. You also have to see how the firm is going to consider its presence on the digital platforms in terms of the various stakeholders and taking care of the needs of those stakeholders. You also have to work towards, the market driven needs. You also have to look at the customers and their needs. You also have to look at the competitors and their needs. So, in a way, we can say that we can analyze the digital presence, our digital presence as a marketeer, in the form of what we call as DPA matrix, that is digital presence analysis matrix. If you see, students, towards this diagrammatic representation, you find that this is a matrix having 4 quadrants. What these 4 quadrants are? Laggards, ladder, leader and leverage. On what 2 dimensions have we created this matrix? There are 2 dimensions, as you see. On the y axis, what is the dimension? It is market standing, whether your market standing is new or niche or it is fairly stronger. On the x axis, you find the second dimension which has helped us in creating the matrix. The second dimension is digital presence, again which can be low or which can be high. So, it gives you 4 possible combinations or 4 possible quadrants. Now, where your market standing is new and your digital presence is low, what you have? You have digital laggards. Where your market standing is strong but your digital presence is low, you have ladders. In a situation where the standing is new but your presence is strong or is very high, you leverage, you have an opportunity to leverage. And where you have a strong standing and also your presence is very strong, is on the higher side, you naturally emerge as a digital leader. Let us understand these 4 quadrants in a greater detail. Now, as I said, who all are the digital laggards? What kind of firms are going to fall into this quadrant? So, this quadrant, students, is going to relate to the firms which have very weak or very minimal digital presence, maybe no digital presence also, and so they are lagging behind their competitors. They are also lagging their respective market or industry segment with respect to competition. The key feature that you have to understand is that the product or the offering which is made by such firms, it is mostly offline. Because they have a very weak or minimal digital presence or no digital presence. So, in a way they have only the offline presence, and therefore, these firms need maximum planning when it comes to digital marketing efforts. They have to really make a lot of effort to start moving towards the digital platforms once they decide that yes, they need such kind of a digital support for their marketing activities in future. The second quadrant we find is digital ladder, and this quadrant usually relates to the state where the firms themselves are little better with respect to the competition, with respect to the rival firms, but they still do not have a very substantial digital presence. Since they have a strong brand, if you look at the other dimension, they have a strong brand and a loyal base of consumers. So, in a way, it is easier for them to start climbing the digital ladder, and hence, you call them as digital ladders. They might already be present on the digital platform, not very strongly, but they still have some digital presence of their product or the service. Or maybe for some products they can have a digital platform, and therefore they can very easily move up to or upscale their digital presence with the investment potential that they have or the brand recall that they have for the products which are already in the digital landscape. The third quadrant is leverage. This is the quadrant on the bottom right side, and therefore, as we have seen, it represents the companies that have a very strong digital presence. But what is lacking? Market share. Now, what is going to be advantageous to such firms, students? It would be advantageous for them to use the digital marketing to gain the market share or to expand their market share, because this is what they are looking digital marketing efforts for. They want a digital marketing strategy which would help them to gain a higher market share or enhance their market share. The fourth or the final quadrant, as we have seen, comprises of leaders. And who are the leader firms? These are the firms which are market leaders in their segments. They have leveraged the digital efforts or digital marketing to the best possible extent, and this is what has enabled them to emerge as leaders. Typically, you would find, students, these are the large companies, these are the big companies, and therefore being big and market leaders, they have a strong brand presence, they have strong investments, and therefore they can give tough competition to the other firms. With this, students, we find that we have covered three aspects of the assessment phase. After your digital presence analysis, the fourth aspect that one has to look into the assessment phase is objective development and review. Now, what is going to happen in this step? A digital marketer has to develop the objectives and constantly review at a regular time intervals to see how the digital marketing strategy is helping you to achieve or accomplish those objectives. So, in a way, what are we looking at in this stage? We are looking at setting high level objectives for your digital marketing strategies and a continuous monitoring and evaluation of the marketing activities which will help you in accomplishing these objectives. Now, again, as we did for at the time of our internal analysis, our external analysis, and also at the time of determining our digital presence, one has to look for the objective development for the same four entities, which are your stakeholders, your market, your customers, and your competition. Now, when you look at the objectives, how to design and how to determine these objectives? These objectives have to be SMART. What do we mean by SMART objectives, students? By SMART objectives, we mean the objectives have to be specific. You have to be very, very focused when you talk about your digital marketing efforts. So, the objectives have to be very, very specific and focused, that this is what I want my digital marketing to do for me, either at an individual level or at the level of whatever business or firm that I am running, be it big or small. The objectives should be quantified, they should be measurable. Yes, some of the objectives may have qualitative elements embedded in it, but most of the times we find that it would be an effective start if you have the objectives which are measurable, so that you can track the performance and accomplishment of those objectives over a period of time, and later on can, at the time of controlling, at the time of exercising control, you can see the extent to which you have realized and you have achieved your objectives and what is the gap, so that some corrective strategy or maybe redetermination of the objectives can be done at a later stage. The objectives should be assignable. You should be able to assign the objectives to different parties, to different partners, to different players, and hold them responsible for the accomplishment of the same. The fourth aspect of your SMART objective is realistic. There is no point in looking for objectives which are unreasonable from the beginning. Obviously, if you set the objectives which are the achievement of which is unrealistic or unachievable, that is not going to help you. That is not going to really give you any check of how you are progressing and the way you are progressing with your digital marketing strategy. So, they should be realistic, optimist objectives that one should set for oneself. It is always important to have a timeline. So, the objective should be related to a time period. There should be a clear-cut duration or the specific time period within which you want your digital marketing efforts to help you in realizing those objectives. You cannot keep the objectives in abeyance, and you cannot have an unlimited time at your disposal to take care of your plan. So, when your digital marketing plan is set, it is determined and you have outlined your objectives, there should also be specific time period within which you want your digital marketing strategy to give you results or to help you in accomplishing these objectives. With this, students, we have finished the first stage of the ASCOR framework. We are moving on to the second stage or second phase, broad phase of the digital marketing framework, which is strategy. Now, what this is going to entail? What is this strategy phase? This strategy phase is again categorized under 4 small steps. So, the first step is where you define your digital strategy. What is in fact your digital strategy and how this strategy is going to be different from your just any tactical plan or any plan that you are going to make for your marketing activities. What is going to differentiate it from just the plan is the fact that this will be future oriented. This is going to have a long term orientation. This is going to have a direction. This is going to have a direction where your digital marketing plans are going to move and is going to provide a broader framework for the plans to work. The second step which is involved in your strategy phase, it relates to customer development. How you need to work towards your digital strategy so that it helps you in creation of customer development, or you prepare strategies in line with the same. The third step which is involved in your strategy phase is digital marketing mix. As I told you earlier, your digital marketing mix is a combination of the 4 elements that you find in your conventional mix, that is product, place, price and promotion, but also the other elements which have to be taken into account in the digital platform. And the fourth is how you are going to implement this strategy. So, students, in the next session, we will look at each of these sub stages of the strategy phase in detail. Hope the first assessment phase is clear to you. We will come back with more content in future. Thank you.